Now that we've completed our discussion of the setup of the vehicle module in EZMWeb, we'll move on to the topic of how you can enter new vehicles into the application and view or change information for existing vehicles. First, click on Vehicles to Service under the Vehicles Service tab. Doing that brings us to this screen on which all of the vehicles that have been entered into EZMWeb so far are shown. From this screen, you will enter new vehicles into the application and modify the information for existing ones. On the right part of the screen, there is a quick search box with a drop-down list called Vehicle Class Filter. If you've used the classifications feature of EZMWeb, which allows you to tag vehicles with their location, say at a separate facility or warehouse, for example, you can use this drop-down list to find all of the vehicles at that location and view or work with only those. To do this, you simply click on the down arrow on this drop-down menu, select a location from the drop-down list, and then click on the Go button below the drop-down box. The page will then be updated with the list of all the vehicles and only the vehicles that belong to the classification you selected. If you want to enter a new vehicle into the application, you would click on the New Vehicle tab. However, it will be helpful to see a vehicle for which data has already been entered in order to understand what is required in the various data fields which need to be filled out in order to enter a new vehicle. So we'll click on the Edit button next to the light truck with the vehicle number 200 to see what information has been entered for that vehicle. Doing so takes us to the Edit Vehicle Information screen. At this screen, you can see all of the information that can be entered for a vehicle in EZMWeb. The first two data entry areas you see here are for the vehicle number and the VIN number. The vehicle number is especially important as it is the number by which you refer to a vehicle in EZMWeb. This number must be unique. In other words, it cannot be shared by two or more vehicles. The second data entry area is simply the VIN number of the vehicle. Notice that both of these entry boxes are marked with a red asterisk, which means that they are mandatory entries and must be filled out for the new vehicle to be entered into the application. Right below that, you'll see more data entry boxes, including the type of vehicle, which in this case is a light truck, the vehicle classification, the make, the year built, the number of passenger seats, what type of transmission the vehicle has, and so forth. There is also a comments field that allows you to enter any notes about this vehicle. To the right, you'll find other data entry areas, including the service start date and the starting usage meter, which is the odometer reading and is, in this case, 20,000 miles. Below that, you also have the option of setting whatever maintenance for this vehicle will be scheduled to fall on Saturdays or Sundays, if any at all. Next is the Vehicle Service Profile. As you recall from our discussion about the setup for the vehicle module, once you've created a Vehicle Service Profile, the only thing necessary to instruct EZMWeb to automatically schedule all of the required maintenance for a vehicle is to select the appropriate service profile when you are entering that vehicle into EZMWeb. In other words, once you enter a new vehicle, you simply select the appropriate service profile, and that profile automatically schedules all the maintenance for that type of vehicle. In this case, the service profile selected here is Light Truck Maintenance, and the profile description is displayed below. This feature of EZMWeb is very useful for setting up the maintenance for a great number of vehicles, all with the same service requirement. Next, you will also see the units for usage, the fuel units, and the minimum fuel efficiency. In this case, these items are miles, gallons, and 20 miles per gallon, respectively. The customer field is for users of EZMWeb who are servicing vehicles for outside customers. If you are using an EZMWeb service account, you have the option of sending electronic invoices to that customer via the Internet for work on this vehicle, as well as receive requests for work from the customer. You can see that indeed this vehicle is designated as belonging to an outside customer in this example. The customer name and address will also appear on all work orders for maintenance on this vehicle. Next, you'll see a section of this screen in which the registration details for this vehicle are entered. You will need to enter the person or organization to whom this vehicle is registered, the license plate number, and the date on which the registration expires. You can also enter the state in which the vehicle is registered and who operates the vehicle. I'd like to specifically mention the data field called Set Advance Notice Flag for Usage. This data field is designed to allow users of EZMWeb to have the application notify them in advance of maintenance being due on that vehicle. As you can see in this example, the advanced notice flag has been set at 50 miles. This means that each time this vehicle gets within 50 miles of needing its next scheduled servicing, EZMWeb will flag the operator that maintenance is approaching. The last data entry area on the vehicle information screen are the 6 customizable data entry boxes you see here. The titles of these boxes can be whatever you want them to be and will be the same anytime you visit the screen to enter a new vehicle or edit the information for an existing one. So if you have special data fields that are unique to your business or your industry, you can set them up here by clicking on the Customize Captions button. When you are finished entering all the information for the new vehicle you are entering into the program, or finished changing information for an existing vehicle, then you would hit the Save button to finalize those changes. Next to the Save button, you'll also see the Reproduce button. This is very useful for efficiently entering many vehicles that are similar. For example, if you have a number of trucks to enter which are all of the same make, model, classification, service profile, and so forth, all you have to do is enter this information for one truck and then click on the Reproduce button, and the application will create another truck with the same basic attributes. The only thing you have to specify, of course, is a unique vehicle number and a VIN number so that this new vehicle can be uniquely identified. You can enter a great deal of equipment this way simply and easily. If, for example, you have to enter 100 equipment vans, you don't have to keep retyping in the same basic information about those vans. Right now, I'll go ahead and click on the Cancel button to return to the list of vehicles to service. You also have the ability to track vehicle mileage and fuel usage in EZMWeb in the form of usage logs. To enter a new log entry for a particular vehicle, first click on the name of the vehicle. In this case, I will click on the light truck with the vehicle number 200. This will take you to the vehicle usage log screen for this vehicle, and here you can see that there are 2 logs that have been entered. The first and latest entry shows that 276 miles were logged and 14.98 gallons were used. The entry after that shows that 521 miles were logged and 28.21 gallons were used. The logs also display the user who made those entries. To make a new log entry, click on the yellow New button on the right part of the screen. First you would enter the date for the log entry. Then you can either enter the current odometer reading or just the miles driven since the last log entry. Entering one will calculate the other. If you know how much fuel was consumed, you can also enter that, and the fuel efficiency will be calculated based on the mileage you just entered. When you are finished, you would simply hit the Save button and the log entry will be made. We'll now discuss a couple of the most crucial features of EZMWeb, the Alerts section and the Service Due section of the application. The Alerts section of the application is always displayed at startup to give you an overview of any outstanding maintenance events. If you are not currently in this section of the application, to go there you would expand the Alerts tab here, and since this part of the demonstration is about vehicles, we would then click on Vehicles. The Alerts section lets you view at a glance all of the maintenance that is due for vehicles today or that is past due. If you have any maintenance that is due today or past due, or if you have any licenses that are expiring, this screen will let you know. Here you can see that there are 4 parts to the Vehicle Alerts section. At the top, there is the list of maintenance that is due today. Below that, there is a list of overdue maintenance. There are also lists for expiring licenses for vehicles and drivers, although we will not discuss licenses in detail until later in this demonstration. What is important to note here under the Due Today and Past Due parts of this screen are the internal control numbers of the vehicles for which there is overdue maintenance or maintenance due today. Once you know the internal control number of these vehicles, you can go to the next section of the program that we will discuss, namely the Service Due section, locate the vehicle with one of those internal control numbers, and take care of the outstanding maintenance events for that vehicle. Also note that on the right-hand side of the screen there is a box called Reports that lets you print reports with all of the maintenance due today, all of the maintenance that is past due, all expiring vehicle licenses, all expiring driver's licenses, or a complete report covering all 4 of these areas. Now let's go to the Service Due section of the application. To navigate to the Service Due section of EZMWeb, first we will click on Service Due under the Vehicle Service tab. Now we are at the Service Due section. This section is very important because it is here that all of the scheduled maintenance is listed for every vehicle that has been entered into EZMWeb. This is also where you will be creating work orders for maintenance events that EZMWeb has scheduled, as well as unscheduled work orders for instances where vehicles have broken down and need immediate repair that cannot wait for the next scheduled maintenance. On this screen you can see a listing of all the vehicles that have been entered into EZMWeb. If you select a vehicle by clicking on its name, all of the scheduled maintenance as well as any open work orders for that vehicle will be displayed below the vehicle list. This method, whereby EZMWeb displays the list of vehicles with the scheduled maintenance and work orders below, is one way the application displays scheduled maintenance. We say that the way the maintenance is organized here is by vehicle. The other two ways of displaying scheduled maintenance and work orders in Service Do are represented by these two tabs, by date and by usage. Before I demonstrate how maintenance can be displayed by date and by usage, I'd like to point out a few more things about how the scheduled maintenance and work orders are displayed by vehicle. Let's go ahead and click on the van with the internal control number 100. Down here, the list of scheduled maintenance is displayed for this vehicle, which is comprised of 4 servicing events: routine maintenance, transmission maintenance, cooling system maintenance, and brake maintenance. For each service, we have also displayed the frequency at which it takes place, both in time and usage, the date on which the service is due, and the number of miles until the next service. The next maintenance will be due whenever the due date has been reached or a sufficient amount of miles have been logged for that vehicle, whichever comes first. For example, with the routine maintenance for the van displayed here, this occurs every 3 months or 3,000 miles. You will also notice that there is one open work order here. If you click on the work order number in the leftmost column, you will be taken to the work order itself. We will discuss how to create work orders later, as well as change existing ones. EZMWeb automatically reschedules vehicle maintenance once it is completed. Let's say you have a maintenance cycle whereby some work is scheduled for each 30 days, and that monthly maintenance is due today, and as such it appears in the list of maintenance that is due for today. If that maintenance is done and the work order is closed today, the maintenance event is taken out of the schedule and rescheduled for 30 days from now, which is 30 days from the time the work order was closed. It works the same way with mileage. If the mileage cycle for maintenance is, say, 3,000 miles, and today the 3,000 mile point has been reached, then that maintenance will appear on the list of maintenance to complete today. When it is completed and the work order is closed, EZMWeb will automatically schedule the next 3,000 mile maintenance for 3,000 miles from the day on which the work order was closed. You can also assign scheduled maintenance events displayed here to either members of your company or to an outside vendor. Under the Assigned To column for each maintenance event, there's a drop-down box which contains the names of members of your company or outside vendors. To make the assignment, first select a maintenance event by clicking in the small circle that matches it. Then, find the employee or vendor in the drop-down list to whom you wish to assign the maintenance, and then click on the Save button. The work will then be assigned to the person or vendor of your choice, and a work order will be created for that maintenance if one had not already been created. Let's go ahead and click on the By Date tab to demonstrate how EZMWeb sorts scheduled maintenance by date. What you see here is a list of all scheduled servicing events for every vehicle you've entered into EZMWeb ordered by date. If you have enough of these events, they will not all display on one page, in which case you would have to click on the page numbers at the bottom of each page to view them all. This section works similarly to the one we just discussed where maintenance was organized by vehicle. We can assign maintenance by clicking in the small circle to select a maintenance task, and then using the drop-down list we can select an employee or vendor and clicking on the Save button. You can also create or view work orders here. Now we'll click on the By Usage tab to demonstrate how EZMWeb sorts scheduled maintenance by usage. What you see here is a list of all scheduled servicing events for every vehicle you have entered into EZMWeb ordered by usage. Again, if you have enough of these events, they will not all display on one page, in which case you would have to click on the page numbers at the bottom of each page to view them all. Just as with the By Date view, we can assign maintenance tasks here as well as create and view work orders. Two more features we'll discuss are the calendar and search features of the Service Do section. To navigate to the calendar, we will click on the Calendar tab. On the right part of the screen, we will see a calendar. And if we click a date on that calendar, the screen will refresh with all of the maintenance due on that date. You can also create work orders here as well. Now, let's click on the Search tab. This will take us to a form where we can search for scheduled maintenance events by any of the criteria listed on this search screen. Just enter any search criteria you wish to locate by and press the search button. The page will be refreshed with your search results shown. Now I'll demonstrate how to create a work order in EZMWeb. First, click on Service Due under the Vehicle Service tab. This will take us to the screen at which we view vehicle maintenance organized by vehicle. I'll click to select the light truck with internal control number 200 to display the list of scheduled maintenance and work orders for that vehicle. One of the scheduled service types for this truck is routine maintenance. Now, if we want to create a work order for routine maintenance, first we would click in the small circle next to the routine maintenance service type to select it. Then we would click on the Create/Edit Work Order button, and this will take us to the work order screen. What you see here is the screen for the work order itself. This is where you enter all the information you want to appear on the work order, some of which is simply filled in automatically when you first create the work order. For example, if you look to the left of the work order screen, you'll see a section called Vehicle Unit that has been automatically filled in with basic information about that vehicle. At the top right corner of the work screen, you'll also see a section that contains information for an outside customer if you are performing the maintenance on this vehicle for somebody else. This information will be filled in automatically if the vehicle was entered into EZMWeb as belonging to someone else. Otherwise, you'll have to select a customer using the drop-down list at the top. After selecting a customer, their address and contact information will automatically be filled in. Below the vehicle unit and customer information, you also have another section of the work order screen that has basic information about the maintenance that is being done in this work order, such as the service profile and type. In this case, the service profile is for light truck maintenance, and the service type is routine maintenance. To the right, there is also information about when the maintenance was actually scheduled versus when the work order was created. You can enter the actual odometer reading of the vehicle at the time of service here, which will be printed on the work order as well as entered into the usage log for the vehicle. Below and to the left of this, you will see a section called Work Order Notes and Approval. Here you can enter any notes you wish about this maintenance as well as enter exceptions, such as if a particular operation that is specified in the work order was not completed for some reason. Here you can also assign the work order to an employee or outside vendor, record who actually performed the work, or approve the work order. However, supervisors and only supervisors can assign or approve work orders. Employees who are not supervisors will be able to view the work order but will not be able to change to whom the work order was assigned or approve it. And to the right of this is the Work Order Costs section, where you can enter information such as the total hours of labor, the labor cost, the vehicle downtime, and the total cost for parts and materials. If you are using the inventory section of EZMWeb, the cost for parts and materials will be inserted automatically by the application. Once all this information has been entered, click on the Next button. When I scroll down to the bottom of the work order, we can see that there are 3 services listed for the routine maintenance service type, namely belt and hose service, oil and filter service, and transmission service. I'll go ahead and click on the oil and filter service, and this will display the materials, operations, and parts required for this service. Right now, materials is selected, and we can see that this service requires 4 ounces of 40-weight motor oil and 1 new oil filter. We can add another material to this list if we wish. To do this, you would locate the box to the right of the materials list called Add/Edit Material, type in a name into the material box to search for a material, click on the material in the drop-down list that pops up, enter a quantity for that material, and then click on the Save button. If I click on Operations, the list of operations necessary to complete this maintenance will be displayed, along with the order in which they are to be completed. Here you can see that there are 2 operations listed to complete the oil and filter service, namely oil filter replace and fill crankcase with oil. We can also add operations to this list as well. In the Add/Edit Operation box to the right, simply enter the sequence number for the operation and then select an operation code from the drop-down list. Then click Save and the operation will be added to the list. And if I click on Parts, this displays the list of parts to be serviced. Since we are changing the oil, the part in this instance is the engine itself. In some cases, you may have to replace a part instead of simply servicing it. To record this on the work order and deduct the replacement part from inventory, first click on the Edit button next to that part. Then, check the box called Replace in the Add/Edit Part box and click on the Save button. You can also add parts to the list here in a similar fashion to materials and operations. And finally, you can add other items, which are items which need to be listed on the work order and whose cost needs to be recorded but aren't listed as yet in your inventory. Just enter the item name, quantity, and cost into the Add/Edit Other Item box to the right and then click on Save. Let's now save this work order, and I'll demonstrate how to create an unscheduled work order. As you know, there are many instances in which vehicles break down and need non-routine maintenance that is not in the regular maintenance schedule. When this happens, you'll most likely need to use materials, service parts, and perform operations that are different from those chosen in your regularly scheduled maintenance. EZMWebVeh has capabilities that allow you to create work orders called unscheduled work orders for such maintenance events and store them in the history for that vehicle. To create an unscheduled work order, locate the yellow Unscheduled Work Order button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen and click on it. After clicking this, you'll be taken to the Unscheduled Work Order screen. This screen is similar to the regular work order screen, but is slightly different. First, select the number of the vehicle which is broken down and for which you must create an unscheduled work order. This will automatically fill in information about that vehicle. Then you'll also have to choose the type of maintenance you want to do on this vehicle. Unlike with a regularly scheduled work order, this information is not automatically filled in, and this gives you the flexibility to specify exactly what you need for this non-routine maintenance. Because in this case we want to choose the exact materials, parts, the service, and operations needed for this unscheduled maintenance, we'll choose Unscheduled Repair for both the maintenance profile and the maintenance type, which gives us a blank slate on which we can add whatever materials, parts, and operations we need. After choosing Unscheduled Repair, we'll click on the Next button. Now we can add any materials, parts, and operations here at the bottom of the work order. When we are finished with this and changing any other information on the work order we desire, we will click on the Save button to save the work order. We'll now discuss how we can view the history of all vehicle maintenance in EZMWebVeh. An important feature to have in a maintenance application from which many work orders are issued is a single convenient area in which all closed work orders are listed so that they can be reviewed and approved in an efficient manner by a supervisor and perhaps edited to change details about how the work was done. In EZMWebVeh, this can be done from the Vehicle Service area. To navigate to the Vehicle Service area, we will click on Service History under the Vehicle Service tab. Now, what you see listed on the following screen are all of the closed work orders for vehicle maintenance. As you can see, for each work order, the work order number is displayed along with the VIN number of the vehicle for which the maintenance was done, the vehicle name, the date on which the work order was closed, and the vehicle number. You can also see here that the person to whom the work order was assigned is shown along with the person by whom the work order was approved. Right now, all of the work orders are listed in order of the date on which the work order was closed in descending order, although this order can be changed by clicking on the column headers, and the order will change according to which one you click on. For example, you can have the work orders listed by work order number or by the person to whom the work was assigned. You can also use the quick search box on the right to locate a work order either by the work order number itself or by the vehicle number of the vehicle for which the work order was issued. Just mark the small circle next to the search method you desire by clicking on it. Then, depending on what you selected, type either the work order number or the vehicle number into the box, then click on Go. The page will then be updated with your search results. Now, let's open a closed work order to demonstrate what can be done within the vehicle service history. To do this, we will find a work order that has not yet been approved and click on the Edit button that matches with it. This will take us to the actual work order itself. Here, a supervisor can review the work order by looking at, for each service included in the work order, the materials used, what operations were done during the maintenance, and what parts were serviced. They can also view or change how many hours of labor this maintenance took, what the costs were, the vehicle downtime, and the materials costs. They can also look at any notes or exceptions that were put in by the person who did the work, and the supervisor reviewing the work order can add them as well. For example, an exception can be put in the work order that the maintenance called for a filter change to be done, but the filter was fine and they didn't make the filter change. And one more important thing on the work order is the Approve By box, where the supervisor reviewing this work order can approve the work order by selecting their name from the list. Also, keep in mind that EZMWeb is programmed so that supervisors and only supervisors can approve work orders. All users to whom you have given an access level lower than a supervisor, namely operators and restricted users, will not be able to approve work orders. I'll now click the Cancel button at the bottom of the work order to exit from this area. So as you can see, the vehicle work order history gives supervisory staff a very convenient location at which they can approve work orders which have been closed but not approved, review the information on the work order, add in any notes which are relevant to the history of the vehicle, and then finalize the work order. Many companies, particularly those who have buses and trucks or engage in interstate commerce, lease tires or retread tires and have a need, either for insurance or regulatory requirements, to track tire mileage and tire rotation. EZMWebVeh is set up to accommodate these needs and has a module that enables you to track tire mileage and rotation. To demonstrate how this is done, first we'll click on Tire Mileage and Rotation under the Vehicle Service tab. Doing this brings us to a screen which lists all of the tires which you have entered for tracking. Let's highlight one of the tires in this list by clicking on the tire number. This displays the rotation history for that tire below. It shows the date the rotation took place, what vehicle it was transferred to in the case that the tire changed vehicles, what position the tire was rotated to, and it displays a start odometer reading and an end odometer reading to indicate how many miles the tire was in that position on that vehicle. It displays as well the accumulated miles, which is the difference between the ending and starting mileage and the status of that tire. Before you can enter a new tire into the application, you must create custom entries for tire position and tire status. Let's click on the Tire Status tab right now. This brings you to the list of tire statuses that have been entered into the application. Examples of tire statuses are new, old, repaired, and so forth. These statuses give an idea of the condition of the tire apart from just the mileage. You will use the statuses you enter here later in entering information about the tire. You can enter a new status by clicking on the New button at the right part of the screen, placing your cursor in the Enter Status box here, typing the name of the status, and then clicking on the Save button. The other data entry area we need to enter some data into before we can start using the tire tracking capability of EZMWeb is tire position. We'll click on Tire Position tab, which will take us to the list of positions that have been entered so far. Obvious examples of tire position names are right front, right rear, left front, and left rear. However, not all vehicles have only 4 wheels, of course. Being that this is the case, EZMWeb lets you enter your own tire position names in this section of the program, so that you can have positions that match whatever type of vehicle you may be tracking using EZMWeb. This allows you to keep track of tires that are on, for example, vehicles with 6 or 18 wheels. To enter a new tire position name, click on the New button at the right part of the screen, place your cursor in the Enter Status box here, type the name of the tire position, then click on the Save button. Once we have entered tire statuses and position, we can enter our own records in the program to begin tracking tire usage and rotation. We'll click on the Tire List tab to return to the list of tires, and we'll demonstrate how to put a new tire into the program. First, you click on the yellow New button at the right part of the screen. This navigates you to a form where you enter all the information about this tire. In the box called Tire Number, you will need to select a tire number which is a unique number chosen by you for cataloging purposes. No other tire you enter into the program can have this number. You will also need to enter the tire name and the miles currently on the tire, as it may be a tire that has already been used at the time you're entering it into the program. You can also select a status for the tire, enter tire size or comments about the tire if you wish, and the lease start and lease end dates for the tire, although these last items are optional. When you are finished entering everything in this form, click on the Save button to enter the new tire into EZMWeb. After clicking on the Save button, we will be back at the Tire List screen. This is where we can enter rotation logs for a tire. To do this, first select a tire by clicking on the tire number for the tire you wish to enter a log for. This will highlight the tire. Then click on the Add Details button at the bottom of the screen. A window will appear titled Movement Details. This is where you enter all the details regarding a tire rotation, including when the rotation took place, where the tire was rotated to, what vehicle it was on in the case that it was moved from one vehicle to another, the status of the tire, and how many miles of use the tire experienced in that position. Once you have entered all of the necessary details, click on the Save button. This will enter the rotation log into the application. So this demonstrates how to enter tires into EZMWeb and track their usage and how they are rotated. Let's now proceed to the section of EZMWeb that lets you keep track of your vehicle drivers and operators. To visit this area, we'll click on Operators and Drivers under the Utilities and Lists tab. The first thing you'll see at the top of this screen is a list of the drivers currently entered into the application. If you highlight a driver by clicking on them, the list of vehicle licenses which they have will display below the list of drivers, and any recorded incidents such as driving infractions or accidents will be displayed at the bottom. You can also search for a driver using the quick search box on the right. You can type in either their driver number, their social security number, their phone number, or the city in which they live. Then click on the Go button, and the driver or drivers that match the criteria in the search box will be displayed on the list. Right now I'll demonstrate where information for each driver is entered into the program. I'll go ahead and click on the Edit button, which will navigate us to a form where you enter all the necessary information to place a new driver in the application. As you can see, all of the profile information for the driver we've selected is filled out here to demonstrate how a complete driver profile looks. The box named Operator/Driver is where you put a unique cataloging number of your choice to refer to this driver in EZMWeb. You can also enter the driver's social security number or other ID number here, although this is optional. Below that are boxes where you can enter their date of hire as well as other personal information like birth date and contact information. I'll go ahead and click on the List tab to return us to the list of drivers. Later, if you want to enter a new driver in the program from scratch, you can either click on the New Record tab here or on the yellow New button at the bottom right-hand part of this page. Let's highlight Driver by clicking on them so we can display the list of their licenses and incidents. As you can see, to the right of the list of licenses owned by the driver we've selected is a box called Add/Edit License. This is where you would enter information for a license you'd like to add, or you can edit the information for an existing license here as well. To add a new license, you would enter all of the necessary information about the license: the license number, the name of the license, the expiration date, and the state and the country in which the license is valid. Once you have entered this information, click on the Save button and the license will be added to the list for the driver you have selected. You can also make additions to the list of incidents for the driver you have selected. Below the list of licenses, you will see the list of incidents, and to the right of the list of incidents, you will see another box called Add/Edit Incident. This is the box where you would add all of the information about the incident that you want to go into the driver's record. You would provide a number for the incident, the date on which the incident took place, the type of incident that occurred, whether it was a traffic ticket or a collision, say, and any additional comments about the incident in the Notes box. Once you have entered all of this information, click on the Save button and the incident will be added to the record of the driver you selected earlier.